Alone, Isaiah's face was aglow beneath the window, where each wet globule casted a curious hue of blue upon the corners of the room. The silence broke with beads of rain, gently bothering the man in his shallow sleep. He loved the smell once, the sound of soft-spoken petals drifting from the sky. It rained only at night, keeping him from rejuvenation in the hours of the sun's absence and early rise. The wind whistled melodically down the hall, ghostly whispers knocking on every residence's door in search. Isaiah refused to acknowledge the song of the night. Beneath his eyelids, his subconscious mind projected flashes, records of the events as they unfolded, tormenting his tender heart and wrinkling his forehead. He clenched his fist around a bundle of cotton sheets black in the night. He would never be prepared for what he was about to re-experience, even as he braced himself, grinding his teeth together. It began the way it should have never ended, the usual Monday morning breeze. Isaiah's breath hovered before him, his cheeks blushing in the cold. Turning a street corner, he brought his hands up by a cigarette resting between his purpled lips. A puff of smoke and a muffled cough signaled that the ember stick was readily lit. It was his only relief before he began his hours at the retirement home cafeteria. How he loathed the grunt of old man Edward, the slow-paced gait of Anne Louise. His disease was worse than cancerous cells. His father was a man of potential, but a failure in actuality. Though he had a loyal wife and a son of his own, his empty eyes found nothing of his home. His crusted lashes sunk into his glassy eyes as he stared at the headlines, not bothering to read. He knew not what he wanted and cared nothing of what he had. He nagged his wife with his eerie glare, stalking her stance from a distance. He was alone in his mind, losing grip of the world around him, the vicinity of his love seat even. He had no hopes for his only son, and had left no love for his wife. As Isaiah slouched before the stark white door, he groaned, leaning forward as he turned the silver knob. He paced heavily, trudging down the fluorescent path. The third door on the left. He took orders in preparation for the menu. A brunch was anticipated by the elderly crowd. He'd done this for 300 Mondays. He bowed his head slightly, straining to remember what his mother appointed him to do. His silver eyes caught glimpse of a distraction across the kitchen. He tucked his oily dark hair behind his ears. Maybe she won't notice the way he reeked and slumped. He was keenly aware, but opted not to show. His eyes darted back to the slot before him, sighing wasted thoughts into the stale concoction. Never to know his potential lust, the kind that occurs within two souls. A stoic stare suffices a stifled and stiffened heart. Suddenly it floods to him, remembering the task he was so discouraged upon retrieving, a woman. His mother has wasted her hours on him alone, a conversation with his absence, not enough to satisfy her sanity, barely an exchange in 3 days. He falls lower in his posture, depressing himself with teasing traces of thoughts. A glimmer of hope would wake his wilted heart. Not too far beyond that day, 3 cycles of the sun in the sky have passed. His break from work would yield him a novel creation, splatters and drops upon an empty canvas. Lines of red ran through his fingertips, articulating what took the form of an astonishing creature, nay, a goddess. The shimmering glow weaved from his hands to her hair, illuminations that brought her in the room. There she stood before his eyes, dancing in a vast field of roses, bending sideways at the waist, mimicking the tall grass. Limber in the wind, his distraction became an obsession. Ashamed he was at what he made, appearing unmatched to the beauty of the real woman. Yet her beauty would only be felt by his grasp in his aloneness. The realization throws him to his knees, pulling with him the fresh paint on the canvas, stamping the image on the cold concrete. As he peels away the destroyed painting from the floor, the colors smear, forever meshed into a radiant pool of red, appearing to flow like tears from weary eyes. Another Monday brings him in, closer to her, yet farther away. Isaiah places his feet in new ways, daring to add a skip to his step. The third door on the left. There she went, dancing like he envisioned she would, with a grace not seen before. He follows her body with his eyes, resting on the letters that formed on a white clip, amber. What a suitable name for such a striking thing. Isaiah could see her from where he was standing, as she conveniently stood in vision between old man Edward and a plastic tree. She was speaking to someone out of sight. As she directed her voice with her fluid hand gestures, she sang as she spoke. her words drifting lightly through the hall, diving boldly and effortlessly into Isaiah's awaiting ears. Time slows as his heart races against, throbbing wildly in passion. She draws nearer, the echo of her heels imitating his thunderous heart. "Isaiah, I'm Amber, the new nutrition and healthcare specialist." Isaiah gasps as his room floods into vision and swarms of black invading the light of his recollection. Amber is now the rain, the ghostly song of the wind. He rushes to his feet, the impact of the maple floor sending needles through his heel. He turns to his window, slamming it open as he holds out his head, now drenched in the storm. Deliriously wavering at his knees, he moans in the night, awaking the slumbering neighbors. "Goodbye, at last, I've lost you to my flaw, and should you wait for me I would follow," he almost said. Yet he has not spoken for 3 years, neither to others nor to himself. His head again finds his pillow, instantly recovering his recollection, further along this time. Amber rested her head gently on Isaiah's shoulder, there beneath a shadowed shed. Empty fields separate the couple, not from each other, but the sun setting in the vivid red sky. A ball of yellow without a string, bending its shape along the atmosphere. He removes his palm from hers, directing at the kaleidoscope sky, fooling her to turn and look. A kiss was planted on her left cheek, bringing her face to a radiant flush as the sun falls beneath the landscape. A turn in his sleep drops his stomach as he fights his returning conscience. Amber sweetly sighed into his ear. Isaiah? The dark enclosure of the stairwell mocked her inflection in his name. Isaiah watches himself now, helplessly tormented by this event. Don't. He paused for strength in his tone. "Please don't attack my childhood now. You've known this well for all this time, and now you try and bring me down lower than I already bring myself. What if my anger brings you pleasure? What if my love brings such disgust in you now? Has this aged too far? Are we now expired? Answer promptly, as my patience is long gone and spent with these hours wasted." Amber's eyes welled in horror. "Wasted are these days with you, not these words that fly between, that I tried to change in you, the flaws of men and your intentions. Now I see your father's rage behind your hollow hypnosis. He fills your interior with sorrow and hate of me, of us all. That I have not a mind to decide, who are we to bind our hearts, inferior to the taller kind, yet here you stand and testify. Your mother has done nothing, wallowing in fear of him, the one who lives in you. You own her cowardice. You own his lack of heart." Isaiah leaves her there and finds his way back home alone, the sun still among the sky, shadows lost from a bird's perspective. The leaves stir beneath his feet, heavy in their trembling waltz. Unafraid of what is at stake, he shakes away the air's pollution, completely unaware. His body turns to stone, refusing to sway as a human would. His fists clenched then, just as they do presently in his bed. However, he watches on from where he lay, bothered by how much he knew. He hated what came next. In his home he stormed about, rocking the house in blasts of fury. His mother gazed away as his father joined the fight on Amber, crying still from the staircase. How his mother loved the girl, her company nearby. His father stood and raised his arm, urged by his son's cause. Oh, how the world has come to such an inferno of this love and this play. I say now as I stood then, a woman's mind is not fit for fighting. A woman's mind can hardly stand alone, you see. A waste of life is on such things. That they are worth a day of affection is 23 hours too long to spend. Where has she escaped? I'll fetch my pocket blade, nay, I'll bring that iron while it still simmers yet. Isaiah's old man lurches toward the old wooden door and into the hidden hallway. Isaiah sat on the other side, he and his subconscious watch and wait, in conflict with the beast of man. His self of the past widens his eyes, prying into second thought, which was useless yet as time has passed. The young girl rocks herself ever slightly, more afraid of what she's done than the deed that would so surely come, yet she had not a clue. A ringing mass conceals the air, a throbbing in her inner ear, her waves of fire upon her head fall, smoothly skimming her alabaster skin. She stares into the face of death, an unforgiving slab of iron. The face of man blurred her eyes, the image that paused to take her last breath. Isaiah pauses with his father's face, as his post-self wanders like a banshee, leaving now